Like now, obviously, I've cleared 500 records or something. Not how it works now. I know what the process is.
So how do you approach it when an artist isn't paying your guys?
There's no online resources for this. There's nothing that says, okay, you get a placement, you have to do X, X, Y, you need this, you need your tax form, all this vendor setup, you need a avoided check. These are the things to watch out for.
My motto is we're trying to spread the info that most managers and lawyers gatekeep. You're not finding this conversation anywhere else, bro.
This is the real source,
This
bro.
is the real source.
YouTube ad rev.
Yeah.
It's the internal YouTube. Check. Cough, please.
Something about when the camera turns off. Already out. Now we're... Okay, and we're back with another episode of the Producer Royalty Podcast. The King Wizard episode's already out, but now we are with his manager,
Hey.
Bobby Harvey.
Oh, excited to be here, man.
Yeah.
Can't believe you come all the way to London just to see me.
I know, just to see you guys. I know you guys made my London trip. You just added a couple points to it, so I know the community is gonna love this episode as well too.
Hey, I'm excited. To give the real info.
Oh, we're gonna go deep, bro. We're
gonna go very
get
deep.
into it.
So
Yeah,
deep.
Yeah, so deep. We're going deep on this one. All right, so when you and Wizards started locking in, what did you bring to the table? What was kind of like the goal? Like what was Harvey's role?
Just relentless optimism and enthusiasm at the start. Because the thing is, I had no idea about anything in the music business. My previous background has just been in corporate stuff. Like I was in management, but just managing like teams of people in warehouses and teams of people in customer service roles. But when I got introduced to the Wizard, and we was just like, I was just so blown away by him. Like just the sheer talent of this man is just undeniable.
So you met around the time that you decided to get into music?
Yeah,
Oh,
really.
yeah?
It was.
I would assume you were lifelong friends. The relationship that you guys have. Oh, really?
No. We was introduced through a mutual frenemy.
Okay.
Of ours.
Will not be said.
And we kind of decided to. Well, we just proper hit it off, man, and we was just like, you know what? Let's just give this music thing a go. Let's just see if we can, run some cuts up.
Yeah.
Let's just have a go at it, really, because we didn't really know anything about how to do it.
Yeah, so it wasn't even like outlined that was it like you're gonna be my manager, or was it kind of like more so?
No, we just decided to just run it up, business 50-50 partners. Let's just run it like that.
Yeah.
And obviously we didn't really even. It was just very organic and just evolved. Like it wasn't even we're gonna start management at the start. It's just like what Wizard said in the last interview. He's like, let's just run it up. Let's just get some cuts. Yeah. Like we just had these little mantras as we was going along. We was just like cuts by Christmas.
Yeah.
Like we was just like cuts by Christmas, and then literally I think it was like Christmas Eve or some shit. Like we got like a bunch of different snippets, and I was like, whoa, crazy, we're doing it. And then
what would be the Underdog like motto if you had to put like a phrase to what you guys do?
Oh,
like the ethic that you guys have.
I mean, like I say, we always say underdog music is like we back the underdogs, innit?
Yeah.
Like it's just if you're hard working and you've got talent and you really, really want it, that's the kind of people we want to be working with, because that's how we did it. Again, we didn't really know what we were doing. We just had the talent, and the keyboard fingers and the phone and the laptop, and we just run it off that.
Yeah,
So,
and it's such a beautiful story, because like what happens a lot of times is people might start with that uninformed optimism, and then they get into it, and then they encounter that point where it's like, all right, now we're starting to hit these pain points, and then they get discouraged, and then they want to quit music. Like, did you guys have those moments where it's like when you start learning how annoying the business can be? Annoying is an understatement, but like,
I mean, if only I knew.
Yeah.
But nah, man. Like again, it was always just a learning experience. I mean, even when we got them first snippets, I'm just hitting the guys up like, "Yeah, where's the paperwork, bro? Send me it." Yeah. I had no idea, like.
Oh, from the snippets you're saying? Like,
yeah, just off the snippets. I'm like, send me the paperwork. Let's get it. And they're like, there's no paperwork when it's released. I had no idea. Like now, obviously, I've cleared, I don't know, maybe like 500 records or something. Like, so I've know how it works now. I know what the process is. But yeah, I kind of feel like when you're first starting out and you don't know, like the best thing is like if you're just plugging away. Well, I think like Wizard mentioned in the last one, just just try and seek out some people that are doing it and ask them, and consultations. I paid for plenty of consultations off different managers and publishers and A&Rs, and you know, again, like I'm just trying to learn the game. Donald Passman book, shout out.
Yep.
That, of course, is a good one.
Yep.
Producer Royalty Page, also a great
There we
one.
go.
Shout that out.
Yeah, I would say it's the best page to learn the business myself, but yeah, you know, but
So yeah, it's just a case of like, don't be afraid. Don't kind of feel like, oh, I don't know these things, so like I'm at a disadvantage. It's like, no, you're in a great advantage because you're still learning. You know, there's still a lot to do and to kind of, you know, progress in your path. You know.
yeah. Do you feel like, you know, you could really learn the game without talking to people directly? You know, could you watch the podcast and learn, like, you know, as much as you might need to kind of...
I mean, that depends on how deep it goes. I kind of feel like first of all, the industry is always changing and always evolving. So there's always new little things. Like the labels are always putting new little things to try and catch people out. Because, you know, unfortunately, that's just the way that they work.
What are some of those little things? What's some ones you've been struggling with recently?
Oh, paperwork-wise, I mean, they've been putting a bunch of stuff in. The first one is 50% payment. So we'll pay you 50 now, we'll pay you 50 when it's released.
Mm-hmm.
My bone of contention with that is, well, you're purchasing the copyright. Why are you only paying me half the money? Because you get the copyright straight away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, for me, that's a final point of sale.
And this is only, like, this is in situations where they're clearing it before the song comes out. So do you encounter that a lot too? Where, like, what percentage of the time would you say that they reach out to you to clear the music more than 2 weeks before the song comes out?
It's been getting better. It's actually been getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally it is very close to the time of release. Like you say, 1 week, 2 weeks, or they'll just put it out and they won't even hit you up.
Yeah.
Now I think there's a few reasons for that. The first reason is because there's so many producers on these albums now that they actually just aren't aware of your existence on there. You know, someone's not told them, especially if you're sending it through a loop.
Yep.
Like, you know, the drum guy might not have informed them that you're on it.
Yep.
That's also a possibility. I just think they're very overworked, and this is not me giving them excuses because you don't have any excuses. But,
I will co-sign you. I mean, there was a Billboard article that was talking about how there's not enough music lawyers to handle like the demand and stuff. But like I'm coming from the legal side myself, so I've worked on the artist side as well too.
Of course.
If you picture the lawyer and they have 60 producer agreements for this one album, and all the other shit they have going on, that's a lot to deal with, especially when you're reaching out to producers and like the producers don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
They don't know how to. They're not being responsive. They don't know how to. You have to maybe explain things to them, and it's just like it's not an excuse, like you said.
Yeah,
but it's perspective that
it's good perspective. I think.
Yeah,
it's good perspective because, you know, the last thing, I mean, again, like, you know, I kind of feel like one of their policies is kind of drag their heels, especially when it comes to payments, which I'm sure we can talk about more.
And I would say, like, you know, the artist lawyer is oftentimes the main pain point to getting paid or getting the clearance process, because they're the one leading the charge on that. And they're also not really the one that has anything to do with how fast you get paid. Usually it depends on if they're not really being responsive, then they could be.
Sure.
But like, you know, after the agreement's signed, then it's like it's on the label to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I mean, obviously, as you know anyway, from the legal side, like, your paperwork is technically with the artist, not with the label.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
So, and then there's just a letter of direction in there from the artist saying to the label, "Can you please pay these people?" And the labels do that so that the onus is not on them. There's no repercussions for them. If they're late in the payments, oh, well, the artist's supposed to pay you.
Yep. So yeah, because like when you negotiate with the artist lawyer or with the artist team, maybe you're talking to their manager or A&R, like whatever you agree to is coming out of the artist cut. That advance, they might not feel like they're paying for it, but okay, so if you get an advance, that's coming out of what the artist has to recoup before they get more money. So if they don't recoup, then the label's kind of paying for it because the label took the risk. But if they do recoup, that's the artist's money. So it's when you get royalty points, that's coming out of the artist cut as well too.
Of
course.
What I
mean? Yeah. So that is like the artist's money more so than it is like the label's a lot of times too. Yeah.
But that's how the labels like to do it, because it's like, well, whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, everybody's
like if you're gonna sue someone, you got to sue them because that's who the paperwork's with.
Yep.
So that's why they kind of do these little things.
Yeah. But the artist's lawyer does not work for the label. I think a lot of people think that the lawyer that you're speaking to, they don't work for the label. I mean, they were kind of teammates, but they're not for the label.
Yeah. They're on the same page. Yeah. Obviously, the A&Rs kind of know what, you know, rough budgets everything's going to be there. Yeah. So I kind of feel like a lot of the time these days I'm pre-negotiating everything with the A&Rs rather than directly with the
text
lawyers.
or usually email still or phone.
A mix, text, phone calls. I prefer calling them sometimes now. And then like email's very standard. Everyone likes a long
for sure
50 email chain of like what punch you're gonna get.
So you get on the phone with A&Rs and managers like a good amount.
Yeah, I mean not so much like artist managers for negotiating.
Yeah.
Like usually it's with the the label teams. Which I think is good because you want to kind of keep your relationship with the artist manager sweet because you're trying to get in the sessions. That's more for your sessions.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so that's I kind of almost prefer that. If you're negotiating through the label as a third party rather than directly with the people you're working with. And I kind of feel like as a producer in a great way is that's why a producer should have a manager for that negotiation, because the thing is you want to be focused on making the music. You don't want to be trying to smear your relationship by being like, okay, well, how much money can we get and what points can we get? Like you don't want to be doing that. You just want to be like, look, I make the music, manager deals with the business, you just put me in the set, I just get send the beats to the artist or get in the sessions with the artist, like and I've got that great relationship and they deal with all that and they can fight and argue and we don't. Sure. We just have a great relationship. I feel like that's a really good benefit of having an experienced manager there, because that's like a great buffer that you just don't have to get in between your relationships, you know what I mean?
It's like a shield, liability shield, kind of. Anything goes sour, you could just be like, I don't know, my manager. Let me tell him.
That's what I say to all my clients.
Because the vibe is just as important as anything. You bringing up money in the session, or maybe through text. It's like even if you're completely justified to bring it up, it might throw off the vibe a little bit. You know what I mean? It's enough where you don't get booked that next time. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean certainly that's how the West works. I mean Asia's slightly different. Asia they do usually splits in the room a lot of the time.
Real?
Yeah.
In Asia?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys just came from Korea, right?
Yeah,
you went to?
King Wizard was in Korea, South Korea, and did sessions there. And like I say, really, as soon as the session was over, there was here's the splits, sign the split sheets. I mean, they're just mad on the business. Their business is super on point.
Yeah, just probably with a lot of things. Probably.
Oh yeah, that would be weird would be weird in America. It would be weird here in the UK as well. Everyone would be like, oh, coming in with a split sheet, they'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I've never even really seen it happen in hip hop specifically. You guys are dabbling in other genres. Like, what other genres have you guys dabbled in more so recently?
Everything. We do a lot of Afrobeat stuff, Latin reggaeton stuff. Like I say, in K-pop.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Pretty much everything apart from rock and roll.
Yeah, no country blend.
Really? Wizard's been making some country stuff. Like we've been sending that over. So obviously like Shabuzi's been going mental at the minute, isn't he? He's kind of bridging that gap as well.
Any differences in the business between what you've noticed so far and other genres in traditional hip hop?
No.
No?
No, I don't think there's no real differences in the business. I mean, in the pop stuff, like I say, the splits are sometimes different.
Like what I haven't worked. I've heard about it, but I haven't worked with any directly. Like, what do you know how they play out splits?
I mean, I guess because a lot of the time on pop, there's going to be a lot of writers involved.
Yeah,
so
it's
like
just a 50-50 thing.
It can sometimes be more of a conversation. I mean, it also depends on where you are, because in the UK as well, again. I love working the American way, 50 to the production, 50 to the top line. So like I kind of bring the American stuff to the UK, but that's not really generally how the UK used to work.
Really?
All the time UK was just equal splits.
What do you mean by that?
So like 100%. If you've got 3 producers and 2 writers, everyone gets
2 writers as in artists, like performing artists.
Yeah, so like an artist and maybe a songwriter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or let's say 2 an artist and a songwriter, and then you've got 3 producers. You just split equally by 5.
The artist would do that?
Equally out of 5. I mean, but again, it's a negotiation as well.
Yeah.
So like, I've had that. I've negotiated songs in the UK like that. Sometimes the artists in the UK will try and take more. Or even like when I try and do it the 50-50 American way, they're still trying to take, out of the 50 of the production side.
Yeah.
It just depends who you work with. Everyone works differently.
Yeah. So, do you pretty much have because I've noticed a lot of this happens a good amount, not a lot, where a producer one of our clients gets offered, like a 70-30 split or something on the publishing. The artist keeps 70, and then they ask for 50-50, artist team says no. Then we ask for 50-50 and we're a little bit more firm on it as an experienced manager, then they wind up agreeing to it. Have you encountered any situations like that? I know that you always handle the business up front for him, but like I guess
I've had that before.
Had to settle.
I mean, personally, I don't stand for it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, again, like production needs 50%. Really.
Yeah.
Really, and I mean, especially if it is that I think I had that before with an artist, and they was wanting to take like 60%, and I'm like, well, yeah, but you're also getting like way more money than these guys. Like, come on, man, you can't be eating the pub like that as well. You know what I mean?
Well, how do you guys? So DSPs split money, I think 80-20, right? Like, so 80% goes to the master, then
80% to the master, 20% to the publishing.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, this has been the big bone of contention, I think, with a lot of we was talking about this with like songwriters in particular, that like, the way that usually writers get when they land a song, if they just wrote the top line, they're not going to get any fee, they're not going to get any master points, they just get publishing, and they're probably going to get a small split of publishing because the artist is going to want, even if they've written the whole thing, the artist is probably still going to want like 30%. Yeah. Which, again, I kind of understand, but also if you used to play it fairly, if you've written the whole song, you should get the whole of that publishing. You know what I mean? On the writer's side, on the lyrical side.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. Like, artists usually take a standard amount, just for themselves, even if they've not written a single word. Obviously, that 80-20 split on what's coming off of the streaming doesn't necessarily reflect the fairness in how the business is worked in general. Because how can you be a songwriter and you're only getting a fifth of the streaming, and then you're only getting like maybe 15% of that?
Yeah.
Fifth.
Yeah. I've heard the argument that like the label's the one putting up the risk. Of course, the master is really what's being monetized on DSPs, right? Of course, the publishing's underneath it, but like the label's putting up all the money and to make this master valuable for the most part. So that's kind of why the split is like that. But I don't know.
Sure. I mean, they've always said that, though, innit? But I guess the guy putting in all the money is always going to say, "Well, I put the money in."
Yeah.
Like, that's never not going to be the thing, is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, man, being on the ground with these guys and like seeing how much work they put in, it's not really a fair remuneration for the amount of work
these guys being like the producer songwriters.
Yeah, producers, songwriters. Because sometimes you can be working on a song, especially in pop, you can be working on one song for like a month, and then it's like, okay, and now you're gonna get, here you go, breadcrumbs for your month's worth of work. It doesn't even add up to like standard national minimum wage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, then obviously the labels are taking like 85% on the master too. So like when after it's monetized, so it's not that argument.
But I mean, the cream on top is that they want, the labels want you to thank them for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're providing it for you. We're giving you you thank us, and it's like, all right, well,
and
thanks.
then they also have all the share in Spotify too. So
you're there with your billions of dollars. Cheers.
Yeah. What about on the masters, on producers? So producers get 3 points on the master, 3% on the master, and versus 50% publishing. Do you feel like there's a in a traditional artist might get like 16%, and then the producer gets 3%. So it's not like a producer can't get 50% on a master. That doesn't. I mean, I guess they could if it comes out of the label's share, but.
Yeah, that's never going to happen, is it? I mean, that's always a pipe dream, isn't it? That maybe the producer will eat out of the label share and the artist can keep their 16%, but it's just never going to happen, is it? So, I mean, look, like, the thing is, and I'm sure you've probably come across this, Daniel, yourself, is that a lot of the time with the points, it takes a lot for them to recoup anyway, or the labels are maybe slightly shady about which stuff's recouping, and you've got to always remind them to get paid. So even if you get the 3 points, you're like, oh, that's nice, 3% of this.
That is our whole business model. That's literally what we do.
It's real hard to then get that paid.
Yeah.
Because they're not gonna hit you up and be like, oh, hello, sir, I've got $10,000 for you. Let me wire it to your account. Right. No, they're gonna hold on to that for as long as they can and hope that you don't notice.
They don't know, and that's why I talk about like if you watch past producer royalty episodes, I try to talk about master royalties a lot. The royalties that the labels collect, which are your points. This is what we're talking about. Because it's like the issue, like most clients come to us recently. We're producer royalties, the debt collector for producers, so we help producers get paid for their placements, whether that's master royalties, sound exchange royalties, publishing royalties, your advances, and the main thing we've been focusing on is master royalties, because what the labels do is the advance recoups, You never tell the producers that the advance recoups. So then if you have a diamond song, they're just holding on to all of that. So we've been working with a couple producers, a couple platinum songs, 2 platinum songs, came out to $85,000. So we got this producer $85,000 for these 2 songs that they're just holding on to that they don't say anything about. So I just want producers to at least know that they exist because they don't even know what to do about it. So what do you do after recoups? How do you approach getting those master royalties collected?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, first of all, you kind of got to figure it out. I mean, they have, I know, like Sony, some of them have like back-end systems that you can go in and they'll say like whether or not your stuff's recouped or not.
Yeah.
Not always telling the truth. You know, so it's kind of down to you to be hitting these people up and saying, hey, this song's this many streams, like, I'm pretty sure it's recouped. What you're saying, like,
what's the streams for you? Like, what we say about 15 to 20 million streams, it's usually worth checking on and then seeing if it's recouped. But
yeah, I mean,
checking on the whole process in of itself. So.
This is a thing, and you'll come across this in your stuff as well. Is master level recoup? You know, as the album recoupment. You know, because if it's, and this is where they get you on that as well. So you have one song on that album that's done great. It might be the best performing song on the album, but if your paperwork says that the whole album has to recoup before you see a penny off your master, whoa, then it doesn't matter if you got the best performing song, you're not going to see any money off it.
Because it's like, and I talk about a lot, you get master royalties after the advance recoups, and sometimes I forget to mention that, but also the expenses from the song or the album also need to be recouped as well, too. Yeah. So it's like, you always have to stand behind the expenses of the album or the song. Like, there's not really, I've never seen a situation, well, sometimes they might start paying you right away if it's like a smaller release that they're not putting like a big budget behind, but
yeah, I've had that as well.
Yeah. Because when you ask for a non-recoupable fee, it's usually not a non-recoupable fee. It's just treated as a recording cost instead.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not non-recoupable. But
it's still.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
We know the game.
Yeah. So, that's what we know what's up. We do. But yeah, and with the recoupment stuff too, like let's say it is master level recoupment, and you just have to stand behind the cost of the song, but then they'll put $30,000 recording costs or $40,000 marketing, but they won't. It's not line item. They just put $30,000.
But this is the thing, like how you're not there, so you can't even say anything. You're like, oh, well, send me your receipts. Thinking like, no, I'm not going to send you. Wait, you mean send your receipts? Jokes. Who is this clown? Get him a mask. Yeah. But like, like they could just make stuff up. That's what on that answer, that's the standard one. Yeah. I mean. Even just off trying to clear records, I've been ghosted off records. I've had to take songs down because they've just not done anything. And I'm like, and this is like people in the business are supposed to know what they're doing. They're supposed to be, I'm like, where's the good and fair business here? You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't just walk into a shop and like, oh, that's a nice t-shirt. Cheers, see you later, and walk out and like, hey, what are you doing with that? Like,
make money off the t-shirt.
Yeah. And then actually just copy the t-shirt 50 million times and make bank, and then be like, oh well, snooze you lose.
So how do you approach it when a artist isn't paying your guys or artist team, label, whoever you want to blame?
Well, I mean, you kind of walk in a fairly thin line with that, because it's like, I always have like, I think I've heard other managers say the same thing. It's like levels of aggression with how hard you're going in. So it's like, I'll always be super nice at the start, because again, that's my standard. My default is nice. We're doing business. I'm not going to be mad that we're doing business. Yep. But then the anger will ramp slowly. The longer you take to pay and the more bullshit that you give. Yeah. And it will get madder and madder and madder until a point where they're like, oh, this guy's really mad. Okay, I'll pay. Yeah. And I don't know why it has to get to that point, because again, like, I've done business where the business has been great. We've been paid on time. Everything's good. I mean, a lot of the labels now say they pay net 30, net 45. After you've sent in the invoice. After
you send the invoice, which could be 2 months after the paperwork started, 3 months, 4 months, who knows.
Which, they'll delay you sending that invoice. And then also, if you're brand new, you've got all the vendor setup paperwork to do, which will then take them another month or so to do it, and you've got to keep, hello, am I set up as a vendor yet? No. And Universal, Universal, they got to send you over the purchase order number for your invoice before you even send that, and sometimes they take the mic to send that.
They don't even say, the PO number, you'll send the invoice, and then you'll follow up 3 weeks later. Is my invoice processed yet? Oh, you need to include the PO number
you didn't send the PO. You're like, come on.
Yeah.
And like, they love it. They love it. I kind of feel like they secretly love it. But I tell you what, I did love, and I got an email. I can't remember who it was from. I think it was from one of the head admins at Universal, who just said, please, please, please stop emailing us about these payments. I was like, stop harassing my staff. And I was like, well, just pay on time.
Guys, that's it.
I was like, pay on time, and I won't. But I was like, yes, I'm going to print that email out and frame it. Because I'm like, this is like the madness that it's got to. It's like,
it's ridiculous,
come on,
man.
like you can't email me to tell you. I mean, if you just pay on time and pay in good time, do good business, why would I have to harass you for my payment? You know what I mean?
100%. I mean, yeah, that's like it's like, yeah. There's so many little strategies to get it done. Like we're launching a producer royalty course, and we're gonna break down the entire placement process from beginning to end, and break down all the strategies that we use to like get our producers paid. So, I mean, like nobody really talks about this stuff online. Who talks about vendor setups and like following up for and sending invoices and stuff? Yeah. So that's why I'd like to have these conversations.
Yeah, really. I mean, like you were saying, Daniel, innit? Like there's nothing really online. There's no online resources for this.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, Donald Passman book is good knowledge, but there's nothing that says, okay, you get a placement, you have to do X, X, Y. You need this. You need your tax forms. You need, all this vendor setup. You need a avoided check is what they love to ask for,
or a screenshot of the bank statement.
You know what I mean? Like it's just all this little fancy business that they love to throw at you in order to like bamboozle you, especially if you don't know. You're like, what is this?
Yeah.
I had a spectacular one from Warner one time. They asked me for a SPOOS form. They was like, you need your SPOOS form. Your SPOOS form. That? I was like, SPOOS form? I'm Googling this shit. I'm like calling people up that I know. I'm like, do you know what a SPOOS form is? Turns out it was their own internal form that they never sent me. I was like, it's your form. I was like, send me one. What are you talking about? Like, you're taking the mic. I'm like,
but yeah, so a SPOOS form. So what the fuck was that though? I've never encountered that.
No, I hadn't encountered it since. I don't know. I just thought they was like maybe trying something. It was like just some weird little internal extra form, like for more info. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
but that baffled me. It's too funny, man. But,
So we're in the similar space because I'm trying to be, and I think producer royalty is the best page to learn about the business side, and like I know you guys are. And trying to my motto is we're trying to spread the info that most managers and lawyers gatekeep is what I always say. People on the manager legal side. So, but you are in a similar vein too, where it's like you're trying to make this information as accessible as possible, build out the systems and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Really, just giving the real info and the support. And the thing is as well, like we give you the real info, but you still say, I want your help with it, or it's cool. Like you still want that support, like sweet. But as long as you're armed and you know that. You can do this stuff yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Great. But like I said, there's massive advantages to having a team.
Okay.
Like you can't build Rome by yourself. No, the pyramids weren't built by one man. Like there was a full team. Like if you're motoring and you're taking things seriously, then having a serious team behind you definitely going to help either way.
Mm-hmm. And help you get more money too. Like a producer first placement, nobody's ever heard of them before. Asking for $5,000 advance versus they hire the best lawyer to represent them and they ask for $5,000. It's not the same thing. So it's like people are not going to, and they're going to be a lot more responsive with that guy versus you yourself too. So it's like there's things like that where it's like you can't really replace that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I mean, I like that they always ask as well if you're brand new, they're like, oh, do you represent yourself or do you have a lawyer? Like, but it's cool if you represent yourself. Like, we can just connect, and then you get hit with like $200 and no points and like a buyout.
They have no standard at all. They don't know what their placement is worth. They have no clue. So
especially in my early days, everyone trying to do the buyout, man.
For real? You saw that a lot in your early days?
Oh yeah, everyone loved to try and get the buyout.
And in United
especially
States?
the UK. They love a buyout in the
right?
UK. Yeah. They love a buyout. But I'm like, again, if you don't know what a buyout is, that's where essentially they're not going to give you any master points. So
or publishing points, I assume you're talking about, right? Do you use because
no,
buyouts? It could
you could. I don't see a lot of publishing buyouts. I see more master buyouts.
Yeah.
I mean that would just be diabolical.
I mean,
publishing and master
it doesn't happen that in overseas. I've noticed it happens more. Like a producer from a random country will ask me about some artist in a random country and be like, "Can you read this?" And it's like 5-point line. You're giving us all the rights to the song, and it won't. It's not going to even refer to publishing rights. It'll just be like. Yeah, like
just everything.
yeah. But a buyout
Everything.
could refer to usually, in my experience, when people say buyout, they're referring to publishing rights, but it could also mean your master rights.
Okay.
If you're buying out your
Interesting.
publishing rights, then you're most likely buying out your master rights.
Oh yeah,
too.
of
Who's
course.
gonna
Yeah,
leave you
yeah. They're not going to give you the master
rights?
if they're taking your publishing for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, the buyout is especially for brand new producer, that is the one thing that you're probably going to get someone trying to hit you with a buyout because they're like, this guy doesn't know.
Yeah.
But then, again, when you experience enough, I got that quite in the early days, and then they knew me, and then they're like, I can't really ask this guy for buyouts.
For sure. And instead, I think a lot of producers, they make the mistake, is this a buyout or not a buyout? But instead of like focusing on that, focus on, am I getting my publishing? Am I getting my master royalty? Am I getting my advance? Instead of like,
Just the main three.
Yeah, just focus
That's
on
what
those
you
main
want.
things.
Your pub, your royalty, master royalty, your advance.
Yeah.
You know.
Should we talk about publishing?
Oh, we could talk about publishing.
Let's talk about publishing. So let's. What's the difference between publishing in the UK and in the States? Let's start with that.
I mean, there's not like very different things between publishing here and in the US.
Well, I'm confused by PRS and like the MDR. What do you call it here?
MCPS.
Yeah,
So I mean,
they're connected.
They're the same thing. So you've got the different collection societies.
Yeah.
Every country has one. Every country has one.
Or multiple.
So PRS, multiple across the different ones. So PRS here in the UK, that's your PRO.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same thing for like ASCAP, BMI, CSAC in the States, right?
Yep.
MCPS is your mechanical collection service in the UK. I think that's like now partnered with PRS, so that they're kind of the same thing, but they used to be two separate entities.
So you had to sign up with them separately before?
Yeah, but now I think you just sign up with PRS and you've got both.
Okay, so like in the States, we said BMI, ASCAP, collect performance royalties in the state, and then the MLC, the Mechanical Licensing Collective, collects only from streams in the United States. They don't collect from digital downloads or physical sales, and they don't collect anywhere else besides that. But the PROs have a reciprocal agreement, so BMI and ASCAP have reciprocal agreements with other countries, so all the biggest countries, they collect on behalf of each other, then they share it with the other countries. But mechanical royalties are not like that. Mechanical royalties in the MLC only collects from the United States and only from streams. Do you know if the I forget what it is.
MCPS.
Yeah. Do you know if they only collect from streams or if they only collect from England?
Yeah, it will be that. It will be that. And this is the funny thing is that like with the different publishing sectors. So let me just go through all of them, because why not?
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah.
Let's just give us the rundown of how to do it. Right?
Let's do it. Please.
Okay. We're talking about these things, we're throwing them in, but people,
how do you start a publishing company?
People jumping in.
Yeah.
Right. So in the UK, let's say you're gonna have PRS, MCPS. You're going to have another thing called PPL, which is going to be your neighbouring rights. So that's neighbouring rights for people that don't know is when things are played in like venues or things like that. If it's in like a restaurant or things like that, you get paid off those.
On the master side, in the United States does not pay people on the master or stakeholders on the master when music is played on the radio or in public settings or anything like that. But in England and a lot of other countries, they do. Yeah. So that's what neighboring rights is. It's like you need a separate society. In the United States, we don't worry about neighboring rights because it doesn't really... Sound exchange is kind of a neighboring rights.
That's as close it gets.
Digital,
As close as it gets.
Yeah.
Sound exchange. I know. That was something I learned that. I'm like, that's quite a lot of money that's getting missed there, not doing the neighboring rights. But,
yeah. I think the only countries that are like that are China, Iran, United States. North Korea. Those are the 4 countries that don't pay master recording owners when music is played in radio.
They're missing out. Missing out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I say
PRS,
MCPS, PPL.
So what's the difference? What is PPL? Oh, PPL's for neighboring rights.
So PPL's for neighboring rights. So MCPS is for your mechanicals. PRS is for your performance. And
if you... Sorry, I like to take it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Publishing generates 2 types of main royalties. You need to collect the performance royalties, which are music played in public setting and also with streams. So that's PRS. Yeah.
Yeah, performance. Yeah.
Yeah, and then mechanical royalties, which are generated from downloads, streams, and any type of sales. So yeah, there.
Good info. It's good info, man. So like I say, UK is kind of pretty simple. There's just the main 3.
Okay.
Now. There's a joint one which I'll do at the end of the American one.
Okay.
So
A joint one.
yeah, there's a joint one that will cover both territories, but I'll do it at the end of the American one. So the American side, you've got your PRO, so that's going to be ASCAP, BMI or CSAC. I think everyone's kind of moving over to ASCAP now because BMI got privately purchased, and no one really knows how that's going to play out. So if you're not registered to anything, probably ASCAP's your safer bet. Then you've got what we've mentioned, MLC, which is mechanical. Then you've got Harry Fox Agency, which is again also mechanicals.
Yeah. But yeah, the MLC only collects from streams, and then the Harry Fox will collect for digital downloads, physical sales, and yeah,
all that good stuff.
Yeah, but you can. I'm still kind of confused on signing up with Harry Fox. Can you sign up with Harry Fox directly? I used to hear that you couldn't. Like you could sign up with MLC and
right.
The
so
PROs.
So yeah, pretty much. I think pretty much everything. There's music reports as well.
I don't understand that.
So music reports, just to kind of simplify it, I've found that music reports is collecting off more social media stuff these days. So like Instagram and TikTok and things.
Okay.
What will come from music, from what I've seen.
So they collect from microsyncs? Is that kind of what it is, or like?
Yeah,
maybe?
I guess microsyncs. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know exactly how it works, but I just
Yeah.
know that there's money there. Like you can
sign up with them directly.
Yeah, you can sign up with them.
Like a good amount? I don't know if it's hard to say.
Not from social media things anyway, but you know, I mean,
but if you have
there's money. There's money.
Yeah,
like,
if you have a big song, you got
yeah. Because even like TikTok these days, it's funny. TikTok doesn't pay out on views; it pays out on videos made.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
Okay.
But obviously that's
sounds
for
like bullshit.
That's for your
crazy.
sync, not if you made if you made the TikTok, like you know, and it goes crazy, you get.
I didn't know that.
But
Really?
as like a producer, your music being used on TikTok platform, it's videos made, not views.
Okay.
So if you get like, you know, there might be 50 million views, but there might only be like 200 videos made.
Yo, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
So it's like, oh, well, we only have to pay this nothing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. So can you sign up with Harry Fox directly?
So Harry Fox, I believe you have to set yourself up as a publisher.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Like you have to start an actual legitimate publishing company, kind of, sort of, because like.
But I
BMI
mean, just doing an LLC and then.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Can producers or should producers not sign with publishing companies, and what are the benefits of signing with a publishing admin or a publishing company?
I'll get on that in a minute. We missed one.
Okay, we missed one. Sorry.
We missed one. YouTube ad revenue, right? So YouTube ad revenue goes through this thing on YouTube called ad rev, right? And like I say, that one is the difficult one because again, you have to be a company, so you can't just do it as an individual person. You have to be a company. But again, you can set yourself up as an LLC. You can sign up to it.
So who do you sign up with? So I know about companies like Create Music Group, and we're good partners with Create, and like, you know, that's what.
This is the real source, bro.
The real source.
YouTube ad rev.
Yeah.
It's the internal YouTube service that collects the ad revenue that you can sign up for, and then you can put in there songs that you have splits on, and that will.
Because that's not really, it's not a master royalty and it's not a publishing royalty, it's ad revenue.
Yeah, ad revenue. Because I mean, look, like you own a portion of that song.
Yeah.
So you need to get some of that ad revenue, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. That YouTube ad rev, and that's all, you know, Create and everyone. They've just got in with the ad rev.
Yeah,
in
they got
YouTube.
the infrastructure to just make sure that you sign. Because you sign up with Create, and you know, I interviewed Carl Legret. That's our biggest episode, and like he broke down the whole system for collecting YouTube royalties and what they actually do, and told me so much. If you haven't checked out that episode, I'll definitely watch it because that shit gets deep. I still, yeah.
It does. But
so how do you collect it? You sign up with YouTube directly?
Yeah, just YouTube ad rev.
For real?
Is what it's called. YouTube ad rev.
Oh shit, bro.
You sign up with them. Like I said, I think you have to be a company. I don't think you can just sign up as a person. So you know, you set up your LLC. You can sign up to Harry Fox. I think you have to pay like $100. Sign up to Harry Fox, and you can sign up to ad rev, and then music reports, MLC, your PROs.
Yeah.
Job
Crazy.
done. That's going to be all your royalties. Sound Exchange, of course, as well. Sound Exchange, which, you know, in my experience,
what do they collect?
Well, they're collecting off like non-interactive streams. Yeah. So like Pandora, iHeartRadio,
Sirius XM. Are there any other ones big that are here? I always tell
stuff.
people they just collect from Pandora, Sirius XM, and iHeartRadio. Are there any ones here that are non-interactive? I don't even know any other non-interactive streaming platforms.
Nah, not really. I mean, I don't know what your experience is with Sound Exchange. It seems like quite a lot of hassle for quite a little pay. They don't seem to pay too much.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's a lot of hassle. You just get
to get the
letter of
LODs
direction.
though, because you have to get the artist to sign it.
In theory, if they do what they should, if the LOD is attached to them, the producer agreement, and they do sign it, then you just submit it to Sound Exchange. That's it. But,
Yeah, that's in the ideal world.
Yeah,
But sometimes
we do this a lot, though.
sometimes they miss it.
Yeah, they miss
And
it because
sometimes it's separate because
they get to keep it until they get the artist keeps that revenue. It comes out of the artist share, so they get to keep it if it doesn't get directed to the producer.
Mm.
So what's the sauce on publishing? Should a producer sign a publishing deal? Like, can you be self-administered? What's your perspective?
Sure. Well, I mean, look, we've covered everything. If you signed up to all of those and registered all your songs, it's a lot of work, but you can collect that money. Now, here's the caveat there. That's domestic, so that would just be for the US. So then, if you want to do that with the rest of the world, you then have to do that in every other country.
In every other country.
Apart from, obviously, your PRO will connect internationals.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do it properly,
agreement. Yeah.
if you want to do it properly, I mean, this is long, but you can actually do it. You can split your PRO off to just collect in that country and then sign up with individual PROs in every country.
And that's what a publisher would do, right? Like, I guess, because I think I've heard the publisher actually registers you with each society. They're not relying on reciprocal agreements, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on who the publisher is.
Okay.
But yeah, really, that's like our main thing of what the publisher is going to do. Is the publisher, it has various different sub-publishers who handle each various territory, and it's their job to register your songs in that territory, so you get your international fees.
Okay.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So obviously, doing that yourself, very long, almost impossible task if you've got, especially a song that's doing great internationally.
Yeah, it's like if it's doing great internationally, you have to do it with every country on your own. Like, and then you also have to pay a fee to sign up with those companies as well too. So it's
some
like,
of them, yeah.
Yeah, if you have $70 in that country and you want to collect it, you have to pay $100 fee maybe to sign up. So it's like it's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I kind of feel like it's almost an impossible task to do yourself.
Yeah,
so
definitely seems it.
Always.
In theory,
you can.
If you have songs that do well in your country, in theory,
you can just do it country by country as well. You can get like sound charts or, one of these data analytics things and just be like, right, which countries am I streaming in? And then I'll just register the stuff in there.
Sound charts, it will tell you that? What do you use sound charts for? I use Chartmetric sometimes.
It might be Chartmetric.
Check streams.
Yeah.
But I never checked like
the streams by country
like
though.
Yeah, I've never checked that myself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of them. Sound charts or Chartmetric has like streams by country, so
okay,
you can like see which countries your streams are coming from. So like I say, you could do that to register your publishing in those countries.
So you mentioned sub-publishing before. What's sub-publishing?
Sub-publishing. So sub-publishing is is a fun game where essentially, as a publisher, so say I sign you up in America. I sign you up in North America, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then, I'm not going to do this myself, but I'm going to go to another publisher in, say, Germany and say, hello, can you do this publishing? Take care of this guy's publishing for me, right? Now, the funniest thing here, especially with the majors, which we was discussing this earlier, is that a lot of the time the majors have their own publishers in each of these countries, of course. There's Universal Music, North America, there's Universal Music France, there's Universal Music Publishing Germany. They're all there. And a lot of the times what they'll do is they'll sign you up in North America and then they'll sub-publish to themselves in these other countries. So your North American one that you just signed up for, I don't know, whatever, 20%, let's say, deal. They'll then go to Universal France and say, hey, Universal France, we've got these records that we need you collecting. And Universal France will say, yeah, cool, Universal Music North America, I'll do that for 50%. And they're like, yeah, of course, cool, let's do it. That sounds like a good rate because I'm paying myself. So they'll say, yeah, 50%, cool, which 50% is not the usual sub-publishing rate, which, like I say, we was talking about, could be anywhere from, 25 to kind of 15 would be a reasonable thing.
But yeah, I've always you highlighted this to me because I working on the legal side, we at Redline Agreements, and it'll say sub-publishing. One of the things lawyers put in there is like sub-publishing fee. The cap is 20% or 10% or whatever you want to write in there that's approved, and then that'll cap the amount the sub-publisher can take. And I always wonder, like, it'll start with like 50%. It's like, are there really publishers that are taking 50% like when they sub-publish, but when you put it in your perspective that you just offered, that like, yeah, it's the same company.
Yeah.
Then yeah, of course they'll do it for 50%.
Yeah, of course. They're negotiating with
Yeah.
themselves what the rate is. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like 50 is the highest they could go without everyone being like, this is an utter scam.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
if it's not clear, what it is that they take 20%. So let's say you have $100, your regular publisher will take 20%. So maybe, or whatever you agree to, and you have $80 left. Or then if you're doing a sub-publishing in another country, then they have 50% on that too. The sub-publisher gets 50%. Then that comes down to $40 that you get from the other countries. So it's like, it's
just any money that gets collected in Universal Germany. If you have Universal Germany as your sub-publisher, that's also on Universal. They're going to take half. So say you earn $1,000, right? They're only going to send 500, but they're not going to send that 500 to you yet. They're going to send that 500 to Universal North America, who's then going to say, great, now I'm going to take my 20%, and then they take their 20% of that $500, and then send you the rest.
Shit's crazy.
Double dipping to an extreme extent, my friends.
Ultimate extreme. All right, so we talked about publishers. Like, what do you feel like if so a lot of producers don't really know what to do, what strategy they should do when it comes to finding a publishing deal? When do you feel like is a good time to find a publishing deal, or like what are the benefits of signing with a publisher?
It really depends on what your situation is and what you want to do strategy wise. You know, one strategy is to try and get a bunch of records and then maybe cash out on a nice fat check from a publisher. Absolutely, you can do that. Some people aren't bothered about that, because again, that money is going to come to you anyway. So if you're not bothered about waiting, then you can just do an admin and collect what's there.
You'll collect a lot more if you do that in the long run. Potentially, if you do an admin deal, you'll get a much better rate. Like you get like a 20%, maybe 10% rate on an admin deal that they'll take, versus if you do a co-pub, they're giving you a fat advance. They're going to take like 30-40% probably.
Yeah, 30-40%. Yeah. I mean, it's not unheard of these days for admins with advances though.
Yeah.
So, you could still do a 20% admin with an advance. Mm-hmm. And again, that's just kind of still,
Yeah.
They're not going to be too crazy. You're not paying, obviously you're still kind of paying them a little bit of interest or however you want to word it. But, it just all depends on your situation. I mean, I guess a lot of the time, even with writers, they might not even have that many records or any records, and they'll still have like a publishing deal with money up front because, again, for them, like, here's some money for you to, continue doing what you're doing. And that might be the case. You might be like, oh, well, I'm doing a 9 to 5, or I can take a pub, maybe get 20k or something. And then that's going to be, I can quit, do this, hopefully run it up in that time.
Yeah.
So really everyone's strategy is different. I mean, the benefits, as we were saying, of the publisher, one is going to get registered. So, if you've got a really good collection team there, that's, again, going to do fair sub-publishing deals and things like that, then, you're going to get great service. You're going to get great collection. Your international royalty is going to be there. Great. Another thing which people don't realise when you're doing it yourself is that you might get disputes. Mm-hmm. So, because anyone can go on a PRO and you can sign up to ASCAP and you can register any song. By the way, I've seen this, and this is fucked, but there was one particular producer that literally was going around registering other people's songs to himself and taking the money. And I think he ended up stealing like $1 million or something. And like all these... it was a whole thing.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So you can do that, and because you can do that, don't do that, what I just said, but because you can register anything, again, people, if they're doing it themselves, they might register it wrong. So then there'll be a dispute, and then it'll come back and say, oh, this song's registered, there's all these, this guy's got, whatever, 30% publishing, and you're like, well, he was only supposed to have 15, but he's registered it wrong. Okay, dispute. Everything's on hold. All the money's on hold. No money's getting paid out to anyone until the dispute's resolved now, so everything's held up. And it's such a hassle to get that fixed. So that's one thing that your publisher would do. That any disputes is your publisher's job to get on that and make sure that the dispute's resolved and talk with all the other publishers. Because, they might be like 5 or 6 publishers on one song. So they've all got to get together and, have a cup of tea and hash out what's going on with this dispute. Yeah. So that's what they do. And having someone experienced at doing that is important.
And if you're like, because a lot of producers instead they'll go with like a song trust and they'll have them handle publishing.
Yeah.
But it's like, are they going to handle disputes for you? Probably not really.
No,
Do they? Will it?
will.
Yeah, they will. Like,
Well, like, they should be.
They should be. They should be, right? I don't know. I've heard bad things. I know
why are you with them?
BeatStars usually does a pretty good job at it.
BeatStar, they're through Sony
They're
ATV,
through Sony, but you know, if you have an issue, you talk to the benefit of having an intimate relationship with your publisher is if you have an issue, you can reach out to them and they'll actually fix it. Versus they might not even catch it,
sure,
or they might not care to catch it if you're like don't have a good relationship.
Well,
with
they should. I mean, they should because that's that's a job. You know
and
what I mean? Like, they should be informing you. Hey, there's a dispute on this, but don't worry.
But if you have thousands of producers signed or clients or songwriters,
this is the thing, isn't it? This is the thing. It's like, well, you know, if you've got thousands of clients, like, you know, again, this is what another thing publishers say. Oh, we'll get you this, we'll get you that, we'll get you placements.
Yeah.
Well, look, if you're like a Sony and you've got tens of thousands of dudes signed to you, you know, you're not going to be the priority. The people that are going to be the priority, the ones making the money that are bigger anyway, that can already get their own placements, so they don't even need it.
Yep.
But, you know, it's, again, you know, the benefits of working with a smaller publisher that's, say, linked to a publishing society, you know, maybe someone like a Cobalt or something, that's actually going to really collect that shit really well.
Yeah.
You know, but the boutique guys, they're going to maybe be able to get you those placements because they, you know, give you the one-to-one service and let you know what's going on with your stuff and make sure that your stuff's getting done properly. It's just an extra team on hand to help.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, like I said, there's kind of plenty of different benefits in that regard. Sync as well, which we've not touched upon. But I mean,
they can help you get sync.
They can help you get sync, but they will also negotiate your sync.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I've negotiated syncs independently.
Yeah.
It is different from negotiating a record.
It's different, yeah. Contracts are pretty simple.
Yeah, the
lawyers kind of do busy work on them a lot.
Yeah, the paperwork's pretty simple, but it's just the terms, because sometimes the terms can be confusing.
Yeah.
Because it's like
what's standard in this
you know,
industry.
we'll give you this amount for this 3 seconds of this song for this term of like maybe 3 months. So like, you would be probably baffled if you got that. You're like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
So you know, again, if you've got a publisher, you don't worry about it. They're gonna negotiate all your syncs and probably hopefully help get some more syncs. So that's another one as well.
Yeah. What's a scam that you've seen with publishers?
Well, I mean, we've talked about the sub-publishing one. There's this horrific story that I heard from a publisher, from a producer that we work with. I can't say who he was on.
Definitely not.
But that you know who you are. So essentially, when he signed to this publisher, they would say to him, "Oh, the studio's free. You know, you can come use the studio anytime you want, as long as it's free. Come use the studio." He's like, "Okay, great. So you know, they just keep hitting him up. Oh, studio's free today, pal. You want to pull through? Yeah, you pull through the studio. Just cooking up. Not even setting him up artist sessions, by the way. Just having him come through, cook up beats. And then he'd be doing that, and he did that, and did that, and did that. I don't know, 6 months or something he'd been doing this, and then he got his statement through from the publisher, and they'd whacked on $100,000 in studio fees on his bill.
Nuts, bro. That's
it's
so crazy.
True. This is a true story as well.
That's one of those things that keep you in the red, like so you're not recouped and they don't have to pay you any royalties.
I mean that's drastic and
that's insane. Yeah.
Diabolical, but that's like an extreme version of that. But you know, these are the things to watch out for, and these are the things, you know, again, if they're saying come do this, come do that, well, negotiate it in your you know, your agreement. Make sure that if they're saying, oh, you can come use the studio anytime, or put it in the agreement, then you're not going to charge me for it.
Yeah,
you know,
or at least ask them, like, make sure, like, is this coming out of my cut? Because labels do this with artists too. They'll be like, hey, we'll give you X, Y, and Z. We'll fly you out to this country, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we're flying you out with your money. Like,
yeah, so. Of course. I mean, even nowadays, you know, still on the producer side, I've been getting this a lot with one particular label that has a policy of, we don't cover any engineering and we don't cover any of your studio fees.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah, but it's your artist.
Yeah.
Like, if we're paying out of pocket for an engineer to come, and for the studio, for your artist to record, why is your policy as standard to not pay us any of that?
Yeah, I've heard that some with the indie distributors like Empire, Create, and stuff like that, like they often or sometimes they don't give the full major label service package. Is how Brett described
this,
it. Yeah.
this,
So sometimes
this
they
guys, they're a big company though. They
Yeah.
should be doing this.
they could do it. Yeah.
You know, I mean, who I'm talking about as well, big
Yeah.
company. They shouldn't be doing this. Again, you know who you are.
You know. Who you are.
So you know.
This is that real game. You know, you're not finding this conversation anywhere else, bro.
Yeah, but these are the things, and this is, look, people, whoever you are watching this podcast, this is not to discourage you. This is just to make you aware. Like, look, as long as you're aware and you're armed with the knowledge, and you know these people are going to do this, crack on. You know, crack on, play the game. Like, you know, do what you want to do what you love. But like, just be aware that these kind of things come on. That's all we're trying to do is arm you with the knowledge. You know, you choose what you want to do with it. But as long as you're aware and you know, don't worry about it. You know, don't be like, this sounds too complicated. Oh, this sounds too cutthroat.
Yeah.
I always see people like, it's too cutthroat for me. I just want to make stuff and have fun.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, it just is what it is. And, I mean, you look at the past history of the music industry, like, you know, it's not really known what it is business-wise for ages. Everyone's been figuring it out over time.
People were just completely in the dark back then. They had no idea. Like, but now you have the internet. You have conversations like these. And it's like, all right, now you at least have some access to the higher level perspective. Like, imagine trying to make it in the music industry, and only people you know in the music industry are your label and like the people that you met through that. Like, now you have the access to the internet. So,
I mean, this is the one thing. I mean, this has brought us in this beautiful place. Is like connectivity, man. You're unlimited connectivity. You can connect with people everywhere in the world and work with everyone internationally.
Fuck yeah.
That's fucking lit.
Thank you so much for giving this conversation.
Wow, man, appreciate you for having me, bro. We dropped some real sauce right there, you know?
Sauce.
The real sauce.
Alright, thank you guys for this episode. I know you'll love that one. I know I did. And yeah, thank you, bro.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thanks for
you
your
so much.
watching as well.
Yeah, thank you guys.